Hello everyone. Welcome to the lecture on community television. This lecture is a part of your paper on community media and society. This module deals with community television, a form of community media. As we all know, television, a mass medium, has wide reach and popularity all over the world. It can even be termed as the most influential media. Since television requires an advanced infrastructure when compared to radio, it has witnessed a slower growth as a medium for the rural people. Innovations in technology and the spread of electricity and communication facilities into the remote corners of the world has certainly contributed to recognizing television as a better option to disseminate informational, developmental and educational content to a larger section of the society. Community media are independent, non-mainstream, civil society-based media that operate for social causes. In this module, it is detailed how community television is utilized as a means to reach out to the various sections of society, encourage their participation and thereby contribute to development. Television in India. Early trace of mass media used for social mobilization and information dissemination was during the freedom movement. Most of the freedom fighters were active journalists too. Like most of the developing nations, India primarily focused on the promotion of radio as the first line of local communication. In the post-independence period, print, radio and later television began to be used as tools urging people to take part in nation building. Amongst the numerous mass media in our country, the one introduced with the goal of promoting development was television. Television broadcast started in India as an arm of All India Radio (AIR) on 15 September 1959 with the help of United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization (UNESCO) and Ford Foundation. This was primarily an educational project on experimental basis and transmission was limited to Delhi and adjoining areas. In order to facilitate its reach to a larger rural audience, they were providing with 21 community TV sets. Television enjoyed a low priority in the initial years. However, its scope and reach slowly expanded with passing year. As television was unaffordable to a larger mass, promoting community viewing was the best option for information dissemination then. Community TV sets were installed in rural areas for the purpose. These broadcasts were aimed at a geographical community. Some noted initiatives in this regard were Delhi Agriculture Television (DATV) project in 1967. It was with the launch of DATV project that the agriculture sector witnessed a transition from traditional practices to the modern styles. Government of India introduced this television instructional program intending to ensure the reach of information regarding new agricultural policies and practices to the masses. The concept was localized as Krishi Darshan program. It promoted community viewing through community TV sets distributed in 80 villages in Delhi. This method also facilitated discussions among the various community members which otherwise would have been impractical. Community TV scheme in Maharashtra. 1972. Doordarshan's Bombay TV Center was commissioned in October 1972. In order to enable the weaker sections to gain benefits from programs, it was necessary that people access television. So, Maharashtra's state government used community TV sets for the purpose. These were sponsored by the state government and the scheme was implemented through the directors of rural broadcasting. The scheme was later extended to Pune. SITE, Satellite Instructional Television Experiment. Popular by the acronym SITE, is acclaimed as the largest sociological experiment in the world. Here, television was used for social causes. It commenced on August 1st, 1975 and concluded on July 31st, 1976. It combined television and satellite technology to provide information and educational program aimed at the overall development of people in around 2,400 villages in 6 Indian states. The program were telecasted in the local languages. Several community TV sets were distributed as part of this landmark experiment. Kheda Communications Project or KCP, 1975 to 90. Kheda is a small district in Gujarat comprising of hundreds of villages which became important milk production centers as part of White Revolution. The project aimed at forging development, promoting self-reliance and local communication through programs that involved audience involvement. 400 villages were provided with about 650 community TV sets installed in public places such as schools, where village audiences gathered in the evenings. Uniqueness of the project is that audience participation was encouraged at all levels. Jhabua Communication Project. Jhabua, a remote hilly terrain in Madhya Pradesh, is predominantly inhabited by tribes. In order to improve the lives of people in this area and to ensure their inclusion in the mainstream development initiatives, Jhabua Communication Project was started in the mid-1990s and it later became a landmark in the history of India's development communication. It utilized interactive satellite-based broadcasting to promote education and development in the area. 2-hour television broadcasts were made available using satellite TV sets and other equipments. Programs were designed to ensure maximum participation of local people and their interactions. Community-based initiatives primarily aim at facilitating community participation. In most of the projects mentioned above, though people's participation was limited to program viewing, these were instrumental in bringing people together as a single entity. Similarly, Doordarshan, India's public service broadcaster, has numerous regional and local programs to serve various geographical communities. Now, what is a community television? Community television, CTV, is a service of video transmission by a community with a not-for-profit motive. Programs pertaining to the specific needs of the community are made by community members themselves. It provides and shares information, education and entertainment aiming at the overall development of the community to which it broadcasts. CTV therefore fills a niche in the current media arena. The peculiarity of community media is the high level of participation of community members, both in production and management. The team community in community television can be territorial, geographical, or a group of people with common interest. Geographically, a community can mean a hamlet, township, village, metropolitan area, or island. A group of people with common interests necessarily don't need to be living together within a defined territory. They can be a single group or a combination of many, like the weaker section, such as women's, children, or senior citizens. Occupational groups such as farmers, fisher, folks, etc., or even ethnic groups. Community television around the world originated in Canada and the US. CTV soon spread to other European and South American countries. Canada and USA had made policy changes for a parallel inclusion of public service broadcasting and CTV. It was envisioned as a new tool for community expressions and problem solving via cable television in the 1960s. Following the suit, many developing nations also started community access television. They primarily aimed at serving the local educational, linguistic, and developmental needs. This encouraged local participation also. Swindon Viewpoint needs a special mention in the history of community TV. Started experiment in 1973. It is Britain's original public access TV service. It is the oldest and longest running TV station in UK. More than 100 CTV channels work in the Netherlands. Germany follows the suit of Holland in terms of licenses. Community channels are also called open channels in Germany. Austria and Belgium have no national policy regarding CTV. In Belgium, there is one community access TV channel located in the area dominated by German-speaking people. The first community access channel in Spain, Radio Television Cardedeu RTVC, was set up in Catalonia and regular broadcast began in 1982. The then Spanish government did not allow any private broadcasting that would compete with broadcast of the national Spanish radio television. Orfeo TV, which began in 2002, was the first community access TV channel in Italy. Giancarlo Vitali was its founder. This was followed by the beginning of 50 such channels as a part of Telestreet or Telestrada movement. These channels operate in shadow zones, unreachable for official TV frequencies. A channel, Disco Volante, had to shut down in 2003 due to the lack of license. The channel came back on air after a long legal battle. They are allowed to operate as long as they stay in the shadow zones. In the Middle East, CTV are known to exist in Israel only. The national policy framework for CTV was modeled given importance to freedom of expressions as a platform for aiming local events and to enable the retired people to contribute meaningfully to the community. Community television in India. As already mentioned, CTV was made available via cable TV in countries like Canada, USA, etc. With terrestrial, satellite and cable and direct to home, India has a strong TV network. But it failed to promote CTV despite the momentum in cable TV sector in the 1990s that occurred with the advent Gulf War. CTV in India was piloted by Bairaju Foundation in collaboration with UNESCO in 3 villages in the West Godavari district of Andhra Pradesh, namely Cherukumuli, Juvalapalem and I. Bhimavaram. The initiative, named Ankuram Community Television, combined a TV studio and Wi-Fi network with a local cable TV network to telecast local programs to about 69 villages across the district. This was a unique initiative as members of Women's Newspaper Readers Club contributed to the content of Ankuram. They met, discussed and debated on a whole range of local issues featured in newspapers, which finally became the program on content for Ankuram. Unfortunately, it stopped. Examples of broadcast for geographical communities are already mentioned. There are also broadcasts aimed at communities of interest such as women, children, farmers, tribes, etc. In this sense, Doordarshan has programs catering the needs of different segments of people. Krishi Darshan programs for farmers, cartoons for children, Gyan Darshan and Vyas channel for students, DD Sports for sports lover are a few to mention. Need for community television. Often questions arise regarding the need for community televisions when numerous mainstream media are available. The traditional, vertical, top-down and authority-based approach of mass media has impaired effective penetration of messages to the lower strata of society. Thus, the marginalized sections always remain undertreated and neglected by the mainstream media. CTV facilitates horizontal distribution of messages, thereby ensuring its even distribution. The local situational needs of a community cannot be efficiently served by the mainstream media. So people need a medium to which they have complete access in addition to it being owned and operated by them. Their social, political and economic needs and problems are to be brought to the notice of the authorities concerned to avail possible solutions. Also, preserving and popularizing indigenous culture, music and tradition is best done via this medium. CTV even can help small ethnic and social groups in promoting their identity. Better understanding of other groups, their culture and identity may help lessen conflicts as well. In the past few years, there have been substantial developments in rural areas with regards to basic infrastructures such as electricity supply, better roads and transportation facilities, communication infrastructure, etc. Thus, people are better connected to each other and with outside world. When compared to the past, access to television has improved. Also, comparing to print medium, CTV can have better penetration among people. The unique advantage of television over print medium is that and radio cannot serve the needs of speech and hearing impaired people. It works equally as radio in case of the visually impaired. Emergence of new media has transformed news and information sector. Yet, the relevance of local media channels cannot be replaced by it. India, being the second largest populous nation in the world, has huge untapped human resource potential. When compared to their urban counterparts, the rural folks receive lesser opportunities and exposure. Most of the time, their skills go unnoticed. The opportunities that CTV create for such skilled people are immense. Contrary to the mainstream media, every member behind a CTV has to be skilled for handling the production aspect as well as overall management. This creates better learning experience for amateurs. CTV is an important tool of the community media fraternity. They work as a third tier as opposed to the mainstream media, which either is public or privately controlled. This adds to the media diversity and facilitates multicultural representation at grassroots level. CTV is an umbrella concept and represents free and open access to work, volunteer, participate, discuss and learn. Community television. Way Forward Commonwealth Educational Media Centre for Asia has delineated changes to be incorporated at policy level for promotion of CTV in India. It includes facilitating free access for communities on state-run regional channels and giving an identity to the existence of CTV by declaring it as a third tier and provide a channel at the regional level. The narrowcasting division of Doordarshan can be utilized by the local community for producing programs. Also, an amendment to the Cable TV Regulation Act to necessarily carry community-produced video can be made. Penetration of TV is high in India and CTV has great potentiality. So, initiatives need to start right from policy formation, taking cue from other countries where CTV has successfully been functioning. It is necessary to create awareness for creation of CTV in India. Availability of low-cost technologies needs to explore for fostering development of CTV. Discussion forums for preparing communities to engage with CTV are to be promoted. Community television is a service owned and operated by the members of a community. The programs or content of local interest, locally developed and pertaining to the day-to-day life of the community. Community television facilitates better, wider and deeper penetration of messages among the community members. Empowerment of the weaker sections such as women, facilitating lifelong learning, facilitating access to technologies, sensitizing community regarding social evils, promoting sustainable developments, etc. can be better addressed through community television. CTV, like community radio, serves the need of a geographical community or a community of interest. Many projects like SITE, Khera, etc. were aimed at geographical communities, while programs such as Krishi Darshan were aimed at a special interest group. There is a current dearth of CTV initiatives in India. Earlier, there were many impediments such as lack of proper infrastructure, absence of electricity, poor financial conditions of people in rural areas, which hindered the spread of television as a popular medium. Today, there have been notable improvements in all the sectors and television has better acceptance among all the sections of people. Considering the strength of India's television sector, more emphasis has to be placed on the development of CTV. For more details, please read the modules carefully and attempt the questions given at the end of each module. Thank you.